Hello and welcome to another edition of Italy Vino from Villas for Two in Abruzzo, where today we're going to be tasting and rating a bottle of Valpolicella from the Veneto region in the northeast of Italy. Valpolicella is something of a rarity in Italian wine in that it's not named after a town or even a particular grape variety. It's named after a region. And in the case of Valpolicella, this particular region is around the town of Verona. The key heartland area, the Classico wine area of Valpolicella, is to the northwest of the city of Verona, between the city itself and the shores of Lake Garda. And that's where this particular wine comes from. Now, you're probably familiar with Valpolicella. It's a wine that you'll find on pretty much any wine list in an Italian restaurant. It's known for being a light, fruity, approachable wine, and it's a bit like Beaujolais Nouveau. It can be drunk and enjoyed when it's young. As I said a moment or so ago, it's not named Valpolicella after a specific grape variety. In fact, as many as 10, 12 different grape varieties can go into Valpolicella. As regards this particular bottle, the grape varieties used are Corvina, which is, if there is such a thing, the red wine grape that goes into Valpolicella, another grape variety called the Corvinone, and a third, the Rondinella. All of them go into this particular bottle of wine. And it's a very special bottle of Valpolicella. Why? Well, in addition to the run-of-the-mill table wine Valpolicella, makers have come up with three, if you like, Grand Cru, very special types of Valpolicella wine. One is called Amarone, which is a long-aged, very expensive, very prestigious wine. The other is called Recioto. Recioto is made with grapes that have been dried on straw mats for up to 6 months and produces a sweet dessert wine. And there's this, which is called Ripasso. And I'll explain the techniques of making Ripasso as we go ahead and taste it. It's made by a winery called Monte d'Allora, which is a rising star of the Valpolicella wine scene. They come from, they're based in a town called Castelrotto, near Verona, and they have 10 acres of their own vineyards, and they produce wine, which is, again, a growing thing in Italy, no pun intended. They produce wine organically. And this is very much the coming thing with Italian wine. We're going to open it up now and have a look. Before we do that, it's interesting to note that the label here tells us very, very little about what is actually inside. The brand name of this particular wine, which is called Sausto, the year 2006, which is a very, very good year, and sort of kind of hidden away round the side is the name of the winery. In fact, to find out more about the wine you're buying here, and it's always a good little dodge, is to see what the information is on the back of the bottle. You'll invariably find a back label, and here is where you will find that this is a Valpolicella Classico Superiore. Classico because it comes from the traditional heartland area, Superiore because it's been aged a little bit longer and is consequently a little bit stronger as well. This is quite a hefty wine, 14.5 proof, and the key word here, Ripasso, more of which in a moment. So let us get it open, and as ever on these Italy Vino reviews, when we are running the rule over a special bottle of wine, what I'm trying to do is recreate the experience that you will have in out in a restaurant, opening a special bottle of wine at home. We're going to open it in real time, and if there are any problems, I will run into problems, and hopefully if I run into problems you will see what they are and avoid them when you come to open this bottle. Now right away we can see it has a cork. Not that I've got anything against plastic wine closures at all. I think they're a really, really good idea, but some of them are an absolute nightmare to get a corkscrew into, and then when you've hoiked it out of the bottle, they're very difficult to get off the corkscrew. But this is traditional cork, and this comes out nice and easy. Now, as we've established, when you're opening a bottle of wine, a quick sniff of the cork. No need to pretend it's a fine Cuban cigar and go through some great rigmarole that some wine waiters are prone to do. What you're doing here is just a quick check that the bottle of wine hasn't been tainted, that the cork is okay. Nothing wrong with this wine at all. And as ever, we take a little look at the cork as we're taking it off, and we have the name of the winery, Monte d'Alloro, and not much else besides. So there we go. Time to pour ourselves a bottle. Now this is a treat for me because I have never ever tasted a Valpolicella Ripasso. It's a light red colour. Let's let it warm up a little bit. Of course, if you were drinking this at home, you would be advised to open this an hour or so before drinking it. And with any good bottle of wine, it's a nice idea just to decant it as well into a suitable container. It's not some great pretentious winey thing. It lets the wine breathe, and if you're having a good bottle of wine, and this is a good bottle of wine, or allegedly is a good bottle of wine, it'll allow you to taste it to its absolute maximum potential. So, right away, the hallmark Valpolicella scent of cherries, but overlaid with a great deal more complexity than that. Mulberries, some red fruit, that is an absolutely superlatively good wine. Very soft, residual tannins, not hardly noticeable. This wonderful secondary kick-in of dark chocolate. Vying with, you've got the trademark Valpolicella sour cherry on one hand, and this slightly sweet finish of bitter chocolate, long finish. I'm still catching it on the back of my throat. Very classy wine. And time, a good moment as any, to explain what is meant by Ripasso wine and how this particular wine is made. Now, the grapes are picked, and as we've established, 3 different sorts of grapes go into this. Corvina, the majority, Corvinone, Rondinella. They are crushed, and the juice is left in contact with the skins, the stalks, the pips, in steel vats for around 10 to 12 days. It's then racked off and put into wooden casks, where it's kept for around 4 months. And then comes the tricky bit. Ripasso means repast. And what happens to this wine then? It is placed back onto the skins and pips and stalks of a wine from this cantina, Monte d'Alloro, that's already been made. But not the skins and pips that were used to make this wine, but the skins and pips that were used to make one of the ricciotto, one of the sweet wines that this cantina makes. In amongst all this residue from a former wine pressing are residual naturally occurring yeasts which restart the fermentation of this wine and which gives it its strength. This wine is left in contact with the skins and stalks and pips that have gone into making the Monte d'Alloro Ricciotto wine for a week, 10 days, then racked off again, a little bit more time in wood, and rebottled, maybe a couple of years in bottle before release, This is the 2006 vintage. I think I'm right in saying it was released onto the market in 2010, and this is just about hitting its stride now, 5 years after the vintage, and it is an extraordinarily deep and complex special occasion wine. Funnily enough, this particular method, the Ripasso method, was only introduced into Valpolicella making around about the turn of the century. And I don't mean the 19th into the 20th, I mean the 20th century into the 21st century. It's only been around 10 years or so. It only obtained DOC status in 2009. So it is an innovation in Valpolicella winemaking. The other super duper Valpolicella I told you about, Amarone, has got a heritage a bit longer, not too much, from the 1950s. The sweet wine, the Ricciotto, is a traditional wine, has a long heritage. This doesn't. It's pretty new. Not every maker of Valpolicella produces a Ripasso wine, a repassed wine. If you can find it, it is well worth seeking out, because by giving it a contact, albeit brief, with the grapes from another wine, it adds a layer of a new layer of flavour, a new layer of complexity, a new layer of depth into this particular wine that if it hadn't happened, then you just simply wouldn't get it. On its own, it's a very good bottle. Classico Superiore. As regards an ordinary run-of-the-mill Valpolicella, you really won't find too much better. But this Ripasso technique really lifts it into something very special indeed. And I'm enjoying it very much indeed. The food to go with this, well, funny you should mention that. I've planned, the reason I have opened this bottle, and I'm tasting this bottle today, is that the plan is to team this up with a very famous Italian dish, ossobuco, which is a veal dish, a dish of braised shin of veal, which is a great favourite of mine, a northern Italy dish, so this goes beautifully well with it. You can probably hear a cat somewhere in the background, one of our strays. If you can find this, it's up, as I said, it's a great special occasion wine. Here in Italy, retails at about the €20 mark. Subsequently, alas, a little bit more in the wine shops around where you live. It is exported to North America, so if you hunt it down from specialist Italian wine merchants, you will find it. Marks out of 10, well, this is classy. There's no other way to describe it. I would give this an 8.25 out of 10. It's a wine that, if you don't drink it immediately, it will come to no harm whatsoever. This is the 2006 good vintage. It's good for 10 years at the very, very least, and it's a wine that is made to partner a sturdy Italian meal, a rich pasta dish, and a meal like ossobuco that I plan to have a little bit later. This wine, incidentally, was suggested for as a subject for Italy Vino by one of our viewers, Antonio, in Montreal, Canada. So, Antonio, this is for you. Thanks for the suggestion. And if there's any particular good Italian wine, bear in mind, much as I would love to do single estate Barolos, we're not sponsored. This is what you see is what you get here, and the wine we buy is the wine we pay for, rather like you. But if you would like to see a wine featured on Italy Vino, the contact details will be coming up in just a moment. And over the course of the next months, we plan to explore the good Italian wines that you will find available, the cut above the run-of-the-mill everyday Italian wines, because when you're on holiday here, or even if you live here like we do, you'll find that if you start spending over 10 euros a bottle, the quantum leap in quality that you will find is absolutely staggering. This, as I say, around 20 euros, and for my money, worth every penny. So, 8.25 Sausto from the Monte d'Alora organic cantina to the northwest of Verona. Can thoroughly commend it to you. The contact details, as I say, coming up. We'll see you for the next Italy Vino next month. For the time being, though, thanks always for watching. We'll see you soon, and goodbye for now.